In today's video, what we're going to do is go over Tom Holland, as he recently went on Men's Health YouTube channel, and I thought it would be really cool to go over simply because he came off like he was very honest in the video, and also I'm going to take a wild leap and say that I think he's a natural person. I don't think he's used anything performance enhancing to build the physique he's got. So it'd be interesting to see his take on the stuff he does. So please comment down below your thoughts. But most of all, the most important thing you should probably comment is, who is your favorite Spider-Man of all time? Anyways, without further ado, let's get into the video.
So right now I am actively trying to put on as much weight as possible. So for me, a cheat meal is actually a really good thing. So I have cheat meals all the time, to the point where I can't even call them cheat meals. They're just really meals.
I really like that he said that, because too many times some of these like celebrity people like Zac Efron, when they say that they have non-stop shredded chicken breast and they have 6,000 calories, even though they look shredded on screen, it's a whole bunch of BS. They want to try and make what they do sound really impressive. At least someone like Tom just said it legit how he is. Obviously, he's not the most biggest dude out there, but he still could have lied like so many do. He basically was just full on legit and just goes, I am kind of skinny, so my biggest problem is gaining size. So Tom is like the classic, what we'd call a hard gainer. Someone that struggles to pack on weight and muscle in general. So he has to kind of do almost the opposite of what most people do, which is most people go into superhero franchises. They normally have too high of body fat, and normally that's kind of drop down the fat and build muscle, usually using various things to help them along the way. But in general, their journey is a little bit different to his.
My philosophy behind my diet is that my diet is far more important than what I do in the gym. I would say for me to see results, it's 80% diet and 20% fitness.
That's very true as well. Like, I kind of feel like for most people, it is more so the diet and rather than your actual training. For example, a good way to think about it is that you can look fairly in shape. By that, I don't mean super muscular, but you can be someone that's fairly, you know, average weight, thinnish, even athletic looking slightly by having a high step count, being active and eating healthily. However, if you go in the gym like crazy, but you eat like shit, you will rarely ever see the results. There's a reason why many people spend years upon years going in the gym, hitting the weights hard, building muscle, maybe looking broader, but they never get that athletically like physique where they look more like cut, and like you really see many of the results pay off other than their arm, because they spend a lot of time, yes, putting in all those hours in the gym to build muscle, but they don't get to show off their cuts and definition as much because their diet isn't in check. So yes, both factors are highly important.
It's 80% diet and 20% fitness. I travel a lot, so I find it really difficult to get into a routine of cooking for myself. But yeah, so dieting, I wouldn't call it dieting, but eating healthy is a big part of me staying in shape. I'm always trying to have a healthy amount of vegetables, and when I say healthy, I just mean a lot.
Once again, pretty good tips, and I'll keep interjecting is because I've seen many of these men's health things, and only some of them have been very, very good. Some of them are just full on, just wishy-washy stuff. I think the ones that stand out to me that are probably some of the best, in case you want to ever go check them out yourself. Frank Gabriel or something, the guy that's in Captain America Winter Soldier, the bad guy that has the weird face. Alan Richardson, I think, wasn't too bad. I think Sam from the Supernatural show wasn't too bad either. But there's only a few. Like some of these ones I've seen, the workout they do is kind of like sus. It doesn't sound like it really would do what they say it does. But you know, not to knock anybody else, I'm just saying that I was surprised when watching the first couple minutes of this video. They gave quite good insights, you know what I mean? Considering his, you know what I mean, he's just Tom.
My girlfriend's a vegetarian, which is really helpful because it means that more often than not, I'll be having a veggie meal. My brother and I, we live together and work together, and we famously have had the worst diets ever, especially when we're working.
For some of you Americans watching, that is good old fish and chips. That is definitely something that happens to everyone, especially people that are ethnic as well, because if you go to like Jamaican, South Asians, a lot of ethnic cultures in general, a lot of the foods they end up having is like very high fat and very high carby food. Grease, oil, sauces, it's really, really heavy. Those things you do have to dial back if you want to see progress. I've got some clients myself, I think typically about 50% of my clients normally are Asian, and they struggle breaking out some of the family foods. And I always say to them, it's fine to have it like here and there, but you can't have it every single day and expect to make rapid results. So you have to get in that habit of yourself learning to cook your own food, or have that conversation with your mom, your wife, your girlfriend, whoever it is that may be cooking the meals.
Typically for breakfast, I will have a bowl of porridge with a bunch of fruit and nuts accompanied with a shake. The reason I do that is I like to get up early and I like to get the day started. And if I have to cook something, I feel like it really slows down the day.
This is one of the many reasons why a lot of people tend to skip breakfast. And they always say, I don't like having breakfast. It's because they feel like either they're not hungry in the morning or they just haven't got time to cook. I would say if you're not hungry in the morning, I personally think it's fine to skip breakfast. Like I personally have my first meal usually around 1 o'clock. And technically, I just think of them as like meal 1, meal 2, meal 3. I don't think of them as breakfast, lunch and dinner, because when you start putting those criteria on the meals, you sometimes, depending on what culture, where you live, you'll start thinking of certain foods. For example, when you think of breakfast in England anyway, you're going to think of eggs, beans, black pudding, bacon, sausages, all the stereotypical cereal, all the stereotypical things. But when you just kind of take away that and just think, oh, it's meal 1, I want to have a high protein meal, just think of anything, you know. And if you want, like many people do, you can have steak and eggs for breakfast, that's fine, or steak and veg, whatever it is. Don't think it has to be quote unquote breakfast foods.
Lunch, typically if I am not bulking, I'll skip lunch. I very, very rarely will eat lunch. I'm very lucky that my default setting of my body is that if I don't train and eat, I lose weight. I have to really consciously think about maintaining size. So for me, a cheat meal is actually a really good thing.
I would much rather call them like a treat meal. I know it's only a little title change, but in general, I more just mean if you eat a very balanced way of eating in the week and you cook foods that you actually enjoy eating, you don't crave cheat meals, and especially not cheat days.
I take supplements depending on my fitness goals. So right now I'm on a pretty steady flow of creatine and protein. I also take a protein shake in the morning.
Some solid picks there. Creatine has many benefits outside of the gym as well. It's good for cognitive function as well in your brain, which is why I think recently they've been suggesting that older people take creatine as well. But in general, helps with endurance, helps with your strength in the workouts, and it's very, very cheap. It's much cheaper than protein. So yeah, creatine is a very good supplement. Protein also only is necessary when you can't get enough protein in from your diet, or you want it to be more cost effective, because obviously it's cheaper long term. For example, buying a protein shake is going to be cheaper long term than buying a whole bunch of steak, chicken, fish and prawns. So when Men's Health has put this on the screen, which is creatine and protein are two key supplements for muscle building, technically they're kind of right, but they're not at the same point. Like, you don't need it. They're just, if you do use them, they can be very, very, very helpful.
I did a film called Uncharted with Mark Wahlberg. The movie shut down because of COVID. And in that interim period where we had 4 months off, I noticed how much bigger Mark was than myself.
Mark's another one as well. I didn't mention him. I think I watched his Men's Health one, or he did like a similar one on a different channel. His one was pretty good.
So in that 4 months, I just pedaled to the metal, went as crazy as I could in the gym and in the kitchen, and got to the heaviest I've ever been, which isn't that heavy, to be honest. Like, by my standards, it is. And it was really cool. I felt really strong.
I like the humbleness. Like, he's that's one of the things I think I liked when I was watching it. He comes off like a real guy. Like, some of these celebrities really don't. Tom Holland definitely, you know what I mean? He's not the biggest of dudes, as you can see, but you can see he looks fairly lean. You know what I mean? You can see the delt popping. You know what I mean? Dudes out there, he ain't like a matchstick. You can see abs. I'm pretty sure many dudes out there, you know what I mean, would be happy if they had a physique like Tom. He does have a very, very young baby face, which I think I wouldn't want. But in terms of his actual like whole physique, if he was like 18, 19, I'm pretty sure they'd be happy with that sort of body.
So that was a drastic change. Spider-Man 3, we just really, really got into CrossFit. I'd never done it before.
Comment down below if you like CrossFit. I know like my gym head followers probably gonna say no, hate it. Personally, I'm not a fan of CrossFit because I do feel like, or not a fan of all of it. Some exercises are fine, but things like keeping pull-ups, I think, are a disgrace. You look like a fish flop in the air.
The hardest thing I've done in terms of dieting for a role is somewhat a contradiction to what I've been saying throughout this interview, but I cut as much weight as I could for a film called Cherry. I was trying to keep below 500 calories a day.
500 calories is crazy. Like, these little fiber bars I have in my hand here, these are roughly around 80 calories. These are tiny. Look how tiny they are compared to my hand. Imagine just having 6 of these in a day. That's how crazy, like, that's how little 600 calories is. And obviously you can do volume eating, which is what I assume he did, which is you eat a lot more vegetables and fruits because they're very low calories to bulk out your meals. If it was me and I had to, like, for whatever reason, eat 500 calories a day, I think I'd have to go for the highest protein and lower calorie options there is. So number one, I'll probably put white fish, so like cod. Then I'll probably go for prawns, egg whites, another cheat code when it comes to getting high protein foods in. Then I guess lean chicken breast. Those are probably my go-to for the protein sources. Oh, and probably protein shake as well, like a low calorie protein shake. Moral of the story is though, never ever ever do that 500 calorie thing.
I was working out like a crazy person. I was dropping weight really, really quickly. I then did it again for a TV show called The Crowded Room. It's not worth it, and it can actually promote quite considerable health concerns down the line. My favorite protein would either be cod or chicken.
I called it. He probably learned to love cod when he was eating that 500 calories.
The reason why I like cod is because to cook it is really easy. I just bake it in a bit of tin foil with chilies, lemon, garlic in the oven, and then that's kind of it. You don't have to cut it up, you don't have to season it really. It tastes really good.
I'd still season it.
And then chicken, you know, in a whole plethora of different ways. If I had to have one meal with a character I've played, I would have it with Peter Parker, and we would get to the restaurant by mode of swinging there. You know, he's my hero. He changed my life. So I'd probably like to sit down with him.
Dope. I thoroughly enjoyed that video. But anyways, people, thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please let me know down below and comment down below if you want to see more of these. And be sure to watch any one of these videos because YouTube recommends and thinks you'll enjoy it.